I grew up in England, and when I was about 7 or 8, I saw things, little people, and felt energies that other people around me didn't. And my parents kind of brushed it aside until I was around 13, I suppose. And then Mum told me that both her and her mum were psychic and had dreams that came true. And we went out for lunch one day to meet some friends of my parents, and they lived in the country. And everyone met at a country pub that had a garden out the back, so children were allowed to go in the garden. And the owners of the pub had made a miniature row of houses. Each one had its own door and fence and things. And I was standing there admiring these, and all of a sudden the doors opened and these little people like gnomes came out and started talking to me. I don't remember now what they said, but they were as solid and as real as you are. So I went back and sat down and I said, Mum, Dad, I was just talking to these little people at the end of the garden, and Mum said, yes dear, okay, just finish your crisps. Like, you know, settle down. My dad was an engineer, electrical engineer, so he was very skeptical. He really didn't believe any of this sort of thing. And then I got bullied a lot at school because I think that, you know, the other kids just sensed there was something different about me. So I always felt a bit of a loner, an outsider. Then I used to go and have chats with a neighbour who was also friends with my mum, and she was a medium. And I said, I called her Auntie. I said, Auntie Margaret, I'm feeling all this energy and seeing things. And at first she said, look, you're too young. Just go about normal everyday things with your friends. But I persisted, and she said, right, I will tell you that you are a channel for healing. And I said, well, what does that mean? What do I do? And she said, well, next time someone isn't feeling well, you just ask them to close your eyes and you put your hands on their shoulders and just think nice thoughts. I thought, okay. Anyway, a couple of months later, my parents were involved in a car accident. Not a serious one, but Mum was thrown forward and cut her head and had to have stitches in it. So I said to Mum, would you like me to give you some healing? And she said, all right dear, it can't help. So I put my hands on her head, and then she said, oh, I feel tired now, I'll go up to bed. Sunday morning I come down, and Dad's already up and making breakfast. And he looked at me and he folded his arms and he said, you, young lady, have something. I don't know what it is, but you, my girl, have something. Because he said, your mum said she felt this heat go through her body, she felt relaxed. The pain in her head went away, and he said, blow me down if it didn't look almost healed. And after that he believed me and believed in what I did. So I felt, not only for myself but for my family line, and with respect to my heritage, to begin to learn more about things and to develop. And I never stopped learning, always learning, and went to a lecture in London at the Psychic Research Society. I attended a lecture by a very famous medium called Ursula Roberts, and she'd written lots of books. So I went up to her afterwards and I said, oh, Miss Roberts, I just wanted to say thank you so much for a wonderful lecture. And she looked at me and she said, you have got it there, my girl. A long way to go, but keep going. You've got it. Then I learnt transcendental meditation. Then I came to Australia in 1978 because I met my partner Bev over there. She's Australian, and we met just shy of a year before her visa was due to expire, and so we didn't want to be parted, so I came here, and because I had secretarial skills I was accepted. Then Mum and Dad came for a holiday and they loved it, and then eventually they came here to live, and Bev and I, when we were here, we went to many different teachers and many different groups to learn and to develop. I ran meditation classes and I gave people various psychic exercises to help them open up their own ability, because passing skills onto other people, I think, is very important. Part of my philosophy is everyone has a gift and everyone has the right to feel empowered and have confidence and to be able to develop these gifts to help others. Then I met a teacher who was a shaman, and I went to a weekend workshop with her, and I was the only one of the group that I thought, wow, this is really me. I really want to do this. So I apprenticed with Chantel and also her teacher, Roland Barkley, who does shamanic work in Brazil. I studied and trained with Chantel for 4 years, and shamanic work is very, very special. When I started out, hardly anyone knew or understood what shamanism was. They had visions of someone in a jungle, running around. So shamans believe that underlying all physical matter, there's an energy. I give the analogy, it's like us and our world is like a car, but there's an engine underneath of energy. And sometimes that energy gets tangled up. Sometimes we take on the energy of other people, often unwittingly. And then this interferes with the flow of their life. So what I do is I talk to people about what their problem is. And then with the help of my guides and angels, I go in and I see where these entanglements are. Another very important aspect of shamanism is soul retrieval. We all have a soul, and sometimes through no fault of our own, when we go through a trauma, a fragment or an aspect of our soul can leave us and go into the universe or another dimensional space for safekeeping. Okay? Unfortunately, then what happens is that allows negative energy to come in. So how have I helped people? I've worked with a lot of women who've suffered abuse, sexual abuse, different types of emotional abuse, satanic abuse. So what I do is I take them through a process of clearing the negative energy from their body first. Then I take them through a process where, with the help of my angels, we bring in a whole fresh and higher vibration. And then, when that clearing is done, then I take them on a journey to call back their soul part that's missing, to help bring them back into wholeness. You can do all the healing in the world, But if there's a soul part or more than one part missing, then that's a very important piece of the puzzle. So I've been doing soul tuning, as I call it, shamanic healing, for over 20 years, and it's a privilege. I've helped many people and their children as well. I had one lady, and her daughter was associating with the wrong type of kids, and so was talking back to her mother, you know, not going to school and things like that. And so through the mum I did a clearing on the girl, and she said everything came right. The same with houses. I've cleared houses of negative energy, and then things begin to settle down. I have done courses in past life regression on top of training in clinical hypnotherapy. I did that in 1999. However, quite often during the soul tuning shamanic healing, my guides will show me if there is a past life involvement, and it will unfold in front of me like stepping through a doorway. My main purpose is I work in a very gentle way. I avoid re-traumatizing a person or getting them to live through certain things. I do it in a very non-confronting, you know, gentle process so they can assimilate and absorb it. One friend of mine, she suffered from claustrophobia. She was also having issues and couldn't move on from an abusive relationship. So I cleared that and brought her soul parts back. And then I saw that she had had a past life in Egypt. She had been virtually walled up or buried alive under the sand, and so I cleared all that. She said her life changed dramatically for the better after that. Yeah, and again, that is through the wonderful help of my guides and angels. I'm very blessed. I have that help. It's not just all me. I couldn't do it without the beings that I have. And when you embark on the shamanic path, you do then draw in special helpers to do this work, and it's not an easy path, and can be quite lonely. When my teacher Chantel went to live in Malaysia, when she'd come back to Sydney, we'd meet for dinner, and I'd say, "Oh, I really miss you. It's I miss having people to talk to about it." And she said, "Yes, but Trudie, thank you for your dedication and continuing on." She's passed away now, sadly. And her teacher, Roland, he actually was a piano tuner, and then he trained in shamanism, and he's doing amazing work with people over in Brazil. Did some training with Roland and some of his workshops, and yeah, it's not an easy path, but it's very rewarding. I absolutely believe in reincarnation, absolutely. I know that I had a past life in Egypt. I kept saying to my partner, I want to visit this place called Abydos. I didn't know anything about it. I said, I'm getting this place, Abydos. It was where the Pharaoh Seti I lived. I just knew that I was Seti. One day Sai Baba said to me telepathically, it was the afternoon when everyone was sleeping, and I was walking around the ashram over there, and I heard his voice. He said, "You are Seti," and I didn't know, never heard of Seti. And Bev and I did a trip to Egypt in 2010, the year before all the trouble over there. And we went into the pyramid, and into the king's chamber, and I was sitting against the wall just meditating, and one of the security guards, he tapped me on the shoulder and he motioned for me to get up. He ushered me towards the stone sarcophagus and invited me to lie down in it. I began to do toning, which I was opened up to in 2005, and he joined in with me. And then after a couple of minutes he put his finger to my lips and said, "That's enough." And everyone that was there said, "That was just wonderful, thank you so much." And I thanked the guy, and it was like time stood still. And I just knew that I just loved Egypt. We were very blessed. We were only in a small group. We took a balloon ride at sunrise over the Valley of the Kings, which is just breathtaking. And when you look down, you can see the indentation of all the ruins that they haven't begun to explore yet. There's just so much there. And the fellow that was one of our guides, he was actually an archaeologist, not just a tour guide. He'd worked with the French team. So, you know, we learned a lot. And he said to me, he said, "You know, there's a whole city underneath Cairo," but he said they can't excavate because there's everyone living on top and all the shops and everything. But there is, and I think there's a lot that's being kept back from the public over there. And I can see why. I think there's a lot of ancient technology over there, and you know, some of it might be quite dangerous. Yeah, I do believe that I had a life there. I don't know whether I'd ever get to Abydos because it's quite a long journey from Cairo, and you'd have to be fairly fit to go there. But like I said, I just had this, I didn't know what was there, who was there, and I just had this recurring thought, I need to go to this Abydos. Yeah, so I love Egypt, and I hope to go back one day. Well, our soul is eternal. I think we come back for as many times as we need to, either to learn or to help or to teach, until we get to a point where we move on and merge with the universe, or perhaps we might go to other star systems. You know, I have always had that connection with outer space, and even my mum used to say to me, "Oh, I don't know where you came from," she said, because I've got a different blood group to the rest of my family. So, and I've always had that fascination with space and connecting with the Celestial Federation. Yeah. Bev and I knew each other before as American Indians, and when we were parted because of a war, a battle, I remember we said we will meet again beyond the stars. So definitely, and South America as well. Yeah. So after Bev and I sitting with different teachers around Sydney and learning and developing, one of our last teachers, Jack, retired to Queensland, and he suggested that I then continue on and have groups to lead them into meditation and help them develop, which I did. And then in March of 1988, I suddenly heard this voice speaking with me. This being said his name was Zolad, Z-O-L-A-D, and that he was from part of a galactic federation, Ashtar Command. I was working at the time for a chiropractor, and he had a biofeedback machine, measured your brain waves, and I asked him to test me, and he said that yes, according to my brain pattern, I was definitely channeling. So for about 4 years, just purely on faith, I hadn't heard about the Galactic Command or Ashtar before. I hadn't read any books, I hadn't seen anything about it. But just going on what I was receiving, I went to people's homes and in small groups, and I would channel messages through. And then one day a friend rang and told me there were people coming to Sydney from America who channeled Ashtar, and I was just over the moon, like couldn't believe it. So this woman, Trudie, and her husband came to the YMCA in Sydney, and they ran a weekend workshop, and that helped to open me up more, and I was getting other people from the command coming through, and it was just a huge confirmation to me that there actually was such a thing as Ashtar command and a being called Ashtar. And then one fellow who was coming to my group, after a few months sitting in my group, he opened up to channel, and he was channeling beings as well. And being in the printing business, he got a magazine going called On Eagle's Wings, and I was one of the people that channeled regular articles. It's just amazing, amazing times. And I began bringing spoken word messages through from the angelic realm. So Ashtar was still there, but the angelic realm came in, and in 2005 I was sitting in my office sort of daydreaming, and I felt this energy around me, and it turned out to be an angel. And he said, "My name is Benjamin L. Ra. I am an angel, and I'm from the level of angels who are scribes, and we inscribed the word of God into the holy texts." And he said, "I have come to ask for your permission for us to use your voice to bring through sound for healing." And I said, "Well, how will that be done?" And he said, "All will be revealed." So one day, a few months later, I was giving a talk at a local spiritualist church about my soul work, and then I led them into meditation, and then all of a sudden I felt like somebody had literally tapped me on the back of the head, and my mouth opened and all this sound came out. And one of the people there was clairvoyant, because in my mind I saw all these children dressed in blue, and they came and they stood behind me. And this medium, she said, "Trudie, did you know that you had all these children, angels, come and stand behind you, and they were dressed in blue?" And then I put out questionnaires, and I said to people, "Look, this is something new for me." And I'd give them questionnaires at the end, did you feel anything? Did you see anything? Were you unwell when you came? If so, did you feel better? Did you feel worse? Did you feel the same? And I did this around churches around Sydney for 11 years, and I've just recently gone back into that, which I think is great service for the spiritualist churches. They explained to me, they said, "Think of your voice as a pipe." And they said, "We're transmitting a signal like a laser beam through the centre of that pipe, and it goes into people and it's carried into their cells and DNA by the water content in the body." So it's very, very powerful. And then I also have a singing coach, because I have to keep this physical voice in trim. A previous teacher I had, I invited her along, and I said, "What do you think?" And she said, "Well, they're bringing through sound and range that you're not physically capable of right now." So again, I wanted that confirmation, as I've always done. I've always sought out confirmation and proof of what I do, because I think that's important. And so, yes. I taught meditation for many years. I put out many meditation CDs. When I worked as a teacher's aide in schools with children with intellectual disabilities, I taught meditation with them. Meditation is the foundation of absolutely everything. Whatever aspect of the spiritual field people would like to go into, that is the foundation. Because then you can settle your mind. And when you've settled your mind, that's when you start receiving information. So I recommend people who have very overactive, busy minds, is the best form of meditation is using a mantra. A mantra is a series of sounds that the brain doesn't recognize. For example, if I said mouse, immediately you get a picture of a mouse. But if I go so hum, your brain goes so what? What the mantra does is you can't stop thoughts. That's scientifically impossible. If you think of your thoughts as like scattered iron filings, they're all over the place, and the mantra is like a magnet and brings them into order and slows everything down with your breathing. So when you breathe in, you say so. When you breathe out, hum. So, hum. So, hum. And that will take you in. If you find a thought coming in, don't go after the thought, just focus on so, hum. And you'll find after a while that you will go into deep meditation. And I've taught that for many years to primary school kids, secondary school kids. You know, I've got a CD in the distance education department. And so the students who are stressed out before their HSC and so on, they listen to that. So for your listeners, I would say that is the best way to go. If you're having trouble learning meditation, or you've tried various visualizations and you just can't get the hang of it, mantra meditation is a good way to go. Well, I'll quote Sai Baba on this one. There's only one religion. All religions are one. There's only one religion, and that's the religion of love. So I think just listen to your heart. People today are gone too much into their head and they've lost that mind-heart connection. So reconnect with the heart and believe what your heart is saying.